Welcome to the Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Long time no
Good.
see.
Good,
Yeah.
doing good.
Excellent.
Ta-da.
We have Steve here. He's gonna help keep me online. We have Colin. He's the tough man of the group because he beats up wallabies and kangaroos for fun.
Wrestles crocodiles.
And he always has a better knife, or knife as he likes to say it. Ben is here,
Knife.
although we don't see his face. Yeah, knife. And Seeker, welcome.
All right, there you go.
I
Hello.
am Nate, or Cubicle Nate, or Nathan, whatever you want to call me. I'm a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And this is the Linux Saloon, where we talk about Linux. It can be a Linux project, a distribution, but it could be centered around a desktop environment or application. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. So thank you all for being here. On the docket today, we're going to talk about our distro exploration of the unofficial Ubuntu releases. We're going to check on the menu for next week, do a news flight if there's time, a community free port if there's time, a last call, and we're going to kick it off first with what have you been doing in Linux or tech? So, Colin, you said you were doing something very cool, and I really like this. So, show and tell time is my favorite time.
Show and tell. Now, I haven't been doing anything really cool, but I mean, this is two. As you can see, this one's got a what's the name on it? This is from work. We had a big downpour of rain last week, not this week, week before. This thing just happened to be sitting in an area where we had some massive water leaks in the office. We work in a big warehouse.
Okay.
And it had a cover on it, and it got water in it. So you know the Surface Go charger, these little things here. I see these little things. They've got a magnet on it, so you just put it on there and it charges. But it's not charging. Got a little bit of water in it, and now it's not charging. So we're hoping to be able to charge it via USB-C. So our IT is going to get one of those. I brought it home and zapped it with the hairdryer to try and dry it out. I've also put some silicon spray, that's suited for electronics, but nothing going. It's not working. Just got a little bit of water. Couldn't have been much. I can't believe that little tiny bit has ruined the charger on that thing.
Sometimes it doesn't take much. It depends on where it gets in.
Yeah, I'm absolutely surprised, to be honest. But and messing around with that, and also in between, doing the exploration, which we will get to, I suppose.
Yep. No teasers, or no, I should say no spoilers. Teasers are fine, but no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Spoilers.
Okay, I didn't do any spoilers, so I'm all good.
Are you okay with have you gotten over the sadness of the ending of Neighbors? Not to bring that up again, but I'm just curious.
Oh, was that a thing?
I just thought I would check just to be sure.
Crikey, mate, it's done and dusted, mate.
That's awesome. Anybody else want to have anything want to tease a little bit what they've been doing? I know, Ben, you're always doing something, but don't monopolize the show again. You got just a few minutes.
Heavens no. Heavens no. Well, Storm OS wise, we are working on the June ISO slowly. We're probably going to add some more apps, into the repo, figure out what we want to do with that, and hopefully we'll have that out soon for people to download, demo, and stuff like that. So be looking forward to that. And another thing I want to plug is on the subject of Ubuntu, actually, we're working on some unofficial flavors of Storm OS on Ubuntu basis. So stay tuned for that. So
would would you call it like Stormy Ubuntu? What would you call it?
we're gonna call it well, we're basing one from XFCE and one from Unity. The XFCE one is almost done, and the Unity one is in the works still. But more on that during the discussion here in a few minutes, and we'll take it from there.
So what would be the differentiation between your XFCE
March.
Ubuntu? You said you can do it on Ubuntu base though, right?
Yes, yes. The Arch version's not going anywhere, but the
Okay. But what would be the differentiation between Ubuntu and a StormOS
Unity.
XFCE?
Well, Ubuntu, it's mainly the same project, just with a different theme, wallpaper, and certain apps, things like that. So it's mainly giving people something a little bit more noob friendly and familiar, basically. Because while the Arch version is plenty good, there's a lot of people who like Arch, but Arch isn't for everyone, you see. And I tried my best to make Arch a little bit more dumbed down, but there's still some people who don't really understand Arch from what I'm noticing. So I said, okay, we'll throw in an Ubuntu basis as well for those who are a little bit more, I guess, towards the Windows and the etc. and the Mac side of things.
What I'm
So
saying
I
though is,
decided,
what is the
what?
differentiation between? So I understand why Arch versus Ubuntu base. I got that. Totally
Yes,
understand. But why would I choose a StormOS XFCE on Ubuntu with an Ubuntu base over Ubuntu, which has been around for a while? Like, what's your differentiation?
Well, I really thought that, yes, Ubuntu is nice, stock, but I wanted to take their basis and bling it up, make it a little bit more my style, and give it that StormOS touch, so that way people can experience it in a little bit more, I guess, nice and flavorful setting, you might say. Give
Okay.
it the StormOS.
So you're gonna
bling,
do
you
some
might say.
you're gonna do some heavy lifting on XFCE. So the
And make it
differentiation.
not as tedious. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm making Unity and Ubuntu, I should say, less tedious to set up and not so meh, you might say.
Okay. So with basically your own style on top of it is really what it boils down
Yes,
to. Okay.
and apps and things like that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So it's Ubuntu and Unity Ben edition. you might say.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that makes sense. So I guess we look forward to hearing about that in the future. Seeker, did you have something you want to add to that? Any of that?
I believe Ben is porting out my utility tool program. I know
Yes.
he was readapting it for
Ubuntu.
the Ubuntu.
Okay.
So it's not. Yeah, he's readapting it. I showed him how to readapt it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's not as many functions as there is in the Arch version, because some of those are very specific to Arch, and we couldn't port those to Ubuntu. So some of those had to be deleted or rewritten for the Ubuntu edition. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. And Thomas, I see you you're showing up fashionably late as always.
Hanging out in the Bat Castle.
Well, actually, I'm just glad.
A good
I'm just
Boy
glad he
Scout.
actually. Yeah. I'm just glad he actually showed up for a change. It's been like a month, so.
I'm sorry, I've been busy.
I understand. I totally get it. Totally understand. I barely have enough time for this myself, so I get it. But because I enjoy it so much, and I don't want to get hung by the yardarm. Wait, no. What do they do in saloons? Doesn't matter. I don't have to swab the
Chandelier.
chandelier. I don't get hung by the chandelier by Steve, so I had to make sure I was here tonight. Well, excellent. So, what I'd like to do is move into the main topic of the unofficial flavors. I don't know if you want to kick that off there on Steve. Just go over the rules so we all know what the rules are here in the saloon. This may be a saloon, but we try and keep it a little bit orderly. We want to have any.
That's right, the rules. So
We don't want someone to break any
besides the gun
bottles
at the
and.
door. Your pistols and your horse. Make sure your horse is fed. The intent is to talk about the different aspects of the OS and discuss the experience after using it. This is a discussion by which only objective and constructive will be its product. Non-objective opinions like this is garbage is not helpful. Rather, if you say, I wish I had this feature, or I really need features that allow me to, you are being you are benefiting the conversation. The point is to highlight the positives, but not ignore the lowlights of the project as well. Remember, this is a labor of love for some. Let's not poo-poo on it. So in other
Excellent.
words, just be honest if it does, if it's something you don't like, but don't say it's like, hey, it's like crap, just be honest but you don't have to praise it all the way, but a good, honest discussion is what's needed.
Yeah. So the thing is, for any distribution that we try, I don't want to be like treat it like a pinata. It's not what we're here to do. If anyone's gonna be treated like a pinata, it's Steve and just Steve. So that's it, and maybe Colin. But outside of that, we just want to make sure we're like we're being helpful to people with our distribution evaluation. So this week we're going to cover the unofficial flavors of Ubuntu 22.04. Now there's only 3 that actually released 22.04 as of last week. I don't know if anything has changed in the past week. Maybe somebody would know. And there's 3 ISO options. There's the Ubuntu Unity, Ubuntu Cinnamon, and the rolling Rhino remix. So there was a straw poll in the Telegram group. How is it going with the unofficial Ubuntu flavors? Well, how's your exploration going, I should say, of the unofficial flavors? So 5% said it's going amazing. 21% said it's going okay. 5% said I'm not having a good time with it. 32% said I'm not interested in trying any of them. Understandable. 5% said I'm unable to do the exploration. 27% said I'm not interested in doing the explorations in general. 5% said other, please explain, but I'm not sure what they said. I'm not sure. I don't know what the other is. So, about Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is kind of the this is going to be an opinion piece here. This is not fact, but to me, Ubuntu is kind of the de facto starting place for a lot of Linux experience. It wasn't my starting place, but it kind of is today. And I remember when it came into being as to be one. So Ubuntu is built on the Debian architecture, and it is Ubuntu is managed, or is the custodian of Ubuntu is Canonical, which is a corporate entity. We are testing out an LTS, which is a long-term support release that has a 5-year lifespan, and there are interim releases as well in there. And those are released every 6 months. So we are testing out 22.04, and 2 weeks ago we did the official flavors, had a lot of great experiences there, and now we moved on to the unofficial flavors. Now this is actually the whole reason for me wanting to do the Ubuntu exploration was specifically for Unity. So here we are to do Unity. And if for those that remember, Unity was a desktop environment that Ubuntu started, and I believe it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me here.
It was actually 2011, Nate.
2011. I think it was 2012 when I tried it though, but I could be wrong. So it wasn't met with a whole lot of enthusiasm initially, but it was started because the move from GNOME 2 to GNOME 3 was very painful for a lot of people. GNOME 3 just wasn't cutting it. And so Unity was essentially built to make a good user experience. Initially, it didn't go very well, but it was smoothed out. And I would say Unity has brought a lot of really awesome features basically across the board to all desktop environments, to include KDE and GNOME. And I would even say some of that's even trickled into Windows. So Unity actually has been a big, it's impacted I would say, desktop computing in general. All right, but now we're doing more than just Unity, so I should shut up about Unity. And also there's Cinnamon, and there's a rolling Rhino remix, which is essentially a rolling distribution of Ubuntu. So I'm gonna go around the panel here. I did Unity. Steve, what did you try?
Unity, actually, I did it a few weeks back on the Clutch, because I never tried Unity before. It was the first time that I ever used it, and it was a bit different. I think the young man that has taken over and is working on it has done a nice job in theming it. It looks gorgeous. I am not used to like things like the global menu. I didn't get the HUD at first. I had someone point that out to me. But it's got a different feel to it. I can kind of see why people like it. It's not particularly my cup of tea or shot of whiskey, but
Bourbon.
to tie that in there. But it was a relatively easy setup. But typical of Ubuntu's, it takes a while to get through that initial install phase, where it's checking disk and all that takes way too long. And I know you can kind of kill it, but even if you kill it, it still takes too long. That's what I find with most of the main Ubuntu flavors, and Ubuntu itself, just a long time to install, comparably to most other distros out there.
I didn't go through that. When I installed it, it didn't go through any long check process.
Mine was 20 minutes.
No, I think what Steve's saying is when you get to the point of the first startup English or whatever your keyboard and whatever, once you get to the point of looking for disks, I think that's what he's talking about.
Right.
That tends to take for a long time, which I've experienced the same thing.
Well, I guess I
Yeah, 'cause
got lucky.
because the Ubuntu's kind of check the, does like a check disk. I'm not sure if it's really checking the disk on your system or the USB that the ISO is installed on, but that process alone, and at times you don't know. It looks like it's not doing anything, and but it's going through check disk, and I guess you can hit, I forget what key it is in that to bring it up, but if you don't know that, you don't know that, and you're waiting there going, okay, is this installing or not? But that's to me, it's more of an Ubuntu thing.
Okay. Oh, and I was wrong, and so has Ben. The initial release of Ubuntu Unity was actually 2010.
Oh, right, because they had the Unity netbook version.
So
I forgot about that.
On the 9th of June 2010, so almost 12 years ago. So we should have a Unity party on Thursday.
Anniversary.
I like that idea.
I don't know how to do it. We'll do an e-party. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. We'll do something. No, we won't, because I'll be busy. I'll be driving. Okay, so you had a little trouble with the a delayed. I think you can skip through that, can't you? Is there a way to skip through the that initial checklist?
Yeah, it's a escape or whatever. I forget, but it still then takes a while for it to get past that point, then to move on.
Okay, so a little lengthy on that process there. Dan, what did you do? Did you use Unity or something else?
I downloaded and installed Unity because I'm unbiased with it, because I've never used it before, like Steve.
Okay.
So I wanted to see what the naysayers had to say about it and what the yay-sayers say about it. wanted to, compute that. But like Steve said, I got to a point in the installation where the installer just sat there like it was doing nothing. And I just, I didn't have that effect though when I installed Mate when we were doing our official Ubuntu's, but I put that one on a potato. I put the Unity on a non-potato.
Okay.
Or an overbaked potato. So
did it have sour cream on it? Maybe some cheese, bacon bits?
Somewhere in there it was looking for it when it was installing, I guess. But my installation took a while to complete. I didn't know if it was stuck or what, but I didn't experience with the other Ubuntu, and this one I did. Maybe it's because of the extra large SSD in this computer, and a terabyte.
Yeah.
But I got it running right now. You want me to stick just to the installation for now?
Yeah, we're just gonna go through. We're just gonna go around and see what everyone installed and like their initial,
right?
Like their initial
got used
out
to
of the
your
gate.
format.
Yeah, I want to make it more of a discussion. We can bounce things back and forth, like we're playing tennis or something. Except I'm terrible at tennis, so my backhand was.
If you get one of these, you may find that the install process is kind of lengthy, and it may look like it's parked for a while, but it isn't. It's just doing whatever it's doing. And outside of that, I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't want to stop it. I wanted to see about how long it would go before it actually completed.
Okay.
Did
that's
anybody
fair.
have trouble with the touchpad and mouse? The touchpad mostly?
Mine
No.
works fine, and I have it opened right now. The mouse worked fine as well.
When I installed it, I couldn't get like the touchpad to, I had to use the mouse keys on the touchpad, whatever, and to select anything. And then when I went to the touchpad settings, you couldn't get anywhere. I was missing one of the drivers when I was doing research, and I had to play around with that a little bit. And actually, the driver needed installed with one of the first updates.
Okay.
Okay, one question is Unity, is this a hotkey driven desktop?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, I noticed because that's the first thing it brought up to me when it's first started was a big box with a bunch of hotkeys in it, you know?
Yeah, and if you hold
And
down
it's like you're gonna remember all those the first time you look at them, and then that went away and I never seen it again.
so if you hold down the meta key or super key or Windows key, you'll see it pop up that menu.
It pops up a search thing.
Oh, no, you have to
No,
hold it
no,
down.
hold it down. Hold it down, Dan. You got to hold the
Oh,
Windows
okay.
key down.
Ta-da! All right.
Look at that.
Yeah, now we're styling
Look at that.
now.
That's
That's
the
why I got
biggest
open
smile.
here in front of me.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to teach me Unity. You're going to make me learn to love it.
No, you're just gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna make you do anything. Colin, what did you install?
Well, I started with Unity,
Okay.
but then I took a fork in the road
Okay.
and went to Rolling Rhino.
Oh, excellent. What desktop environment did you install with Rolling Rhino?
Depends which one you want to install.
Which one did you
Well,
install?
Well, actually, it does come with the default GNOME Ubuntu desktop, I
Okay.
think it is. But you can do a minimal install, and you can. They've got 19 desktop environments to choose from and 7 window managers. Now, the 19 is interesting because if you do a minimal install, it gives you the option of GNOME Ubuntu, GNOME Flashback, GNOME KDE Full Standard, XFCE Ubuntu, XFCE Standard. So it's got all these different desktops, but I think the Ubuntu ones, they look like Ubuntu itself. Like if you do the Mate one, it comes up with all the Mate, what can you say, themes and look and whatever. So I'd have to assume that if you just chose a Mate, it would be the standard Mate with no Ubuntu influence. So that seems to be the difference with all those desktops. So I was messing around with just the standard one to start with, and then I started getting right into it. So we'll get into that, I suppose. But yeah, I did quite a few different installs.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's cool. I want to get back to that. So Ben, you said you did Unity, right?
Yes, I did Unity. Install went actually flawless for me. I didn't have that horrible lag that people are talking about.
Yeah, I
oddly
didn't
enough.
either. I think they did something wrong.
Well, that's cool. Now then again, I put it on an SSD that's a Western Digital inside my laptop. Anyway, it went fine. No problems at all there. And I loved the Unity desktop. No complaints. I themed it how I want it. Everything went smoothly. So when we get to the next bit of Ubuntu Unity goodness, I'll come back to the rest of my review.
Excellent. Seeker, did you install any Ubuntu unofficial flavor?
I actually did install on GNOME boxes on Arch. I had tested it out.
Sure.
The,
Any way you install it's cool.
Yeah, the GNOME. I actually tested out GNOME, the GNOME version, the primary version. not
Okay, so
Unity.
you did an official. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I did an actual official yet.
I got you. That's all good. Thomas, are you still awake?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I did not test anything
Okay,
because
that's
I
cool.
was too busy this week because I had a server die on me.
Oh, was it a Drago OS server?
Yes, it was.
Was it? So did people like lose stuff because of your server
did.
mishandling? Oh, you did.
I lost data.
Yeah, a lot.
Not a whole lot. The Draugr OS stuff is okay. But some personal stuff I did lose because I was
Oh.
also using that server as a personal NAS. So
Gotcha. You know, it's all just ones and zeros, right?
yeah, it's all just ones and zeros. But you know, I got it mostly back up and running at this point.
That's good. Was it new drives or something else?
So this is actually the drive that failed. So if anybody is familiar with hard drives and when they're about to fail, they had this thing called Smart that kind of gives you like a health report of how the drive's doing. And there's a bunch of different error codes it can throw. I think it's like 256 different error codes. This thing was throwing like 50 or 60 different error codes. And they ranged from anything from it got too hot to it was getting too old, you name it. Thing is, it only had 9 months of power on time. So
Is it an SSD or a spinning rust?
How old is it?
It's 9 months old. It'd been powered on for like 99% of that life.
Huh.
But yeah,
Wow,
it's
it sounds
literally
like you
an
got
SSD.
ripped off.
How full was it?
It wasn't too full. I think it was maybe 40 or 50 gigs total,
Oh.
including like the operating system, the app repository, all that. So it wasn't huge. But the app repository is back up and running, download servers back up and running. It's doing its whole reverse proxy thing again. I'm in the process of fixing rsync. But for the most part, it's back up and running.
Okay, so your excuse for not testing an unofficial Ubuntu flavor is good enough. I mean,
Is it valid?
mostly valid. I give it 4 out of 5 stars of an excuse, I guess.
Okay.
Did the dog eat the homework too?
Yes, the dog ate the SSD. It's what he's not telling you. The dog actually was servicing it, did a backup. Shravan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I have a really good excuse, much better than Thomas' excuse. Ubuntu unofficial flavors are not there for ARM, so I haven't tried it.
Oh, you haven't? That's okay. No worries, man. Appreciate you being here. Okay.
And I would really like to maybe try Unity after some time. Maybe spin up a virtual machine.
Yeah,
see
you
how it
should.
goes.
I think it's a really fun experience. It's still well, we'll get to that later.
Like as a KDE fan, so like, can we make KDE look like Unity?
Yes.
Is it very easy?
Yeah, there's actually there's a Unity global theme. Look for just do a search for it and you can get it's most of the functionality of Unity but in Plasma. So they make it similar.
Then this makes me less likely that I'll try Unity.
Well, you can see that it's like doing the genuine article or testing or like, Synthahol, I guess, if we're doing a Star Trek reference here.
Okay.
Star Trek Saloon reference, I guess.
Mhm.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's worth a try, I think. I mean, it doesn't take long to install. You can play around with it, try. I mean, because, you're going to get some things in Unity or in the Ubuntu world. Okay, so setup process. Steve, when you're going through the setup process, did you have, besides the lengthy, like the ISO check that you said you were experiencing, were there any issues? Well, you said you had your touchpad issues. Was there anything else?
No, that was the only main issue after I got it started. Outside of not knowing my way around Unity, but the most of the process was pretty simple, pretty straightforward for an Ubuntu base.
Excellent. Dan, for you, the installation process, did you have any of the setup, like getting going with it? Did you have any comments on that? Anything you'd like to?
Okay, after it calmed down and got installed and I rebooted it, setting it up, I wanted to play with the settings. So what I did is I went to the system settings, and the system settings looked like maybe this version is kind of still under construction because there's minimal settings for you to play with, like appearance. You go in there, there's plenty of wallpapers. One problem I did have is when I changed the theme, I lost the black theme completely, the dark theme, and I can't get it back. So Ottawa and some of the other ones, high contrast, and there's like 4 of them there, but there's nothing that goes back to dark theme.
Or are you going under their appearance? I think because you have to go. I lost that the kind of theme that he had in the beginning.
Yeah, the one that was
icons.
packaged.
And I think you have to go through the tweak tool, the Unity tweak tool. If I remember right, I was going to set up the computer next to me. But
I don't
didn't
have
get
a
chance
tweak
today.
tool. No tweak tool found.
Should be a tweak tool in Unity for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in
Comes by-
settings, unless it's somewhere else other than system settings. It's not
It's-
listed in here.
it's in the
I got
menu.
Appearance.
It's in the menu. If
Yeah,
you go-
yeah, in the menu. Yeah.
So hit your super
It's
key
in the
and then
it's
type
super.
tweak.
super. Come on, super.
This doesn't sound like a great
Unity
critique.
tweak tool.
Yes.
My
There we
God, do they
go.
hide junk in here? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of extra stuff here that you'd expect it to be in settings, and it's not. It's in a different location, and it's kind of like how KDE does stuff. But yeah,
I think
see
you
what you're
I think you
talking
mean
about. I got
GNOME.
GNOME too. Yeah, I found it. Other than that, I got the HTOP open here. This thing consumes an awful lot of memory just idling. It goes bouncing between 925 and 950.
Megabytes?
Yeah. 950 to
So
925 in that area.
out of the gate, I was using 742, which doesn't seem bad. Seems totally reasonable.
That's pretty good.
Well, I just rebooted this machine, and that's where it went to. Now I
Okay.
got the tweak tool open. It's right at a gig. So
But it's probably caching a lot of stuff too, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is because I know nothing about it. I guess I should have got on the Telegram and asked more questions.
Yep, could have.
But,
All right, cool. We'll come back to some other general user experiences. So, Colin, as far as the setup, so you did rolling Rhino. I want to hear a little bit more about the different desktop environments you tried and how it went.
Rolling Rhino is actually very interesting because they say that they have an AUR type repository for Ubuntu base, and there is a website that you can have a look at what's available. It's not a huge amount of software. There's little things. There's quite a fair bit there, but nowhere near as much as what I thought Arch would be. But you can use Rolling Rhino in the sense that you use it as if it's an Ubuntu base, but also when you're updating, you need to do a Rhino-update to update Rolling Rhino. So, I mean, once you install, there's a first initial stages where you need to do a Rhino init, Rhino-init, which sets all the repos for the Rhino itself and changes it to, I think, to a kinetic, I think it's called, backports kinetic. So I think it's a repository that they look after. So that you need to update your system using Rhino-update. So that's how you update your system. You don't use an apt update at all. So I thought that was interesting. And then they have a whole heap of other things where you can do a Rhino-deinst, which is the desktop environment install. So that brings up a little ncursors box, and you can choose your desktop that you wish to install. But if you do that with Ubuntu, then you just get the normal selection on the login screen to change your desktop environment or to log into your new installed desktop environment. So I think I had about 5 or 6 of them there at one stage, and I did a fresh install and tried something else. And I tried the minimal install as well. So I could choose the install that I wanted to have of just one desktop environment. So it did actually Ubuntu Budgie or Budgie Ubuntu. So it actually looks like the actual Budgie from Ubuntu. The only difference is your little tools that Budgie comes with. I'm not sure if they're all in there, but it's very interesting. And you can do a pack stall -i or -i or hyphen I to install things from this AUR thing that they're talking about. But I didn't find there was a lot there. And once you do your initial install and you run your update, you can do a Rhino -config, which allows you to uninstall Snap, which I find it a little bit strange because when you initially run your update, it does all the updates. It installs snapd, then you do a Rhino -config and it allows you to connect to, if somebody can elaborate on this a bit more, the mainline kernel. What's the mainline kernel? Is that the rolling kernel or is that the mainline Ubuntu? I'm not quite sure what they mean by that.
What version is it that you're running? Like, what's the kernel version?
I don't know. I didn't. I don't know. I'm not running it at the moment.
Oh, okay. So my guess is, and I can't say for sure, but the mainline kernel, I think, and anyone, please correct me if I'm wrong, is the primary kernel that they're working on at that time that will be put into, the next version, or it could be the main Ubuntu 22.04 kernel.
Mainline is 519 now. Mainline is whatever they're working on.
Mainline is what they're working on. So would that be a rolling kernel or just the main?
No. So like the current kernel is 518. That's rolling through, but the mainline is 519.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're working on 519 right now. It's not released yet, but 518 is what we are using right now.
Okay. All right.
Mainline is
that makes
like, as far as, and I might be wrong, I've been playing with kernels for the past 2-3 weeks. Mainline is 519.
Okay.
Kernels are rolling.
Again, I might be wrong.
Well, whatever it is, it's probably going to be something related to. I mean, I'm guessing if it's a rolling distribution, it's whatever's currently being worked on that has no additional patches. So it's going to be their main kernel that they use, the default kernel. That's what I believe.
All right.
And so
what I found interesting with this is when you do your initial, so you've got to run Rhino init to start with, and then Rhino update, and they recommend you update once a week.
Okay.
With that command. And what it does is actually installs the Snap and the Snap Firefox, Snapd and all that. But when you run the config, it gives you the option to install the mainline kernel, install the packstall, which is the Ubuntu type AUR, and then it gives you the option to uninstall Snapd, which I found a little bit weird. I don't understand why they would install Snapd on the initial update. Why don't they just give you an option to either install Snapd or Flatpak? Because what it does, it uninstalls Snapd, and I think it allows you to install Flatpak. I think it does something like that. So I found that a little bit strange. I think the option should be to either install one or the other, would make more sense. But it's very interesting distribution. I've never done a minimal install on any of the Ubuntus before, so I can see the advantage here is quite interesting because then you can pick your own desktop rather than be stuck with the official GNOME Ubuntu desktop.
Right.
And the wireless was working out of the box, even though the minimal install takes you to a command prompt only. So you log in under a command prompt. So you've got no desktop environment until you choose one. So once you do your minimal install, you run your Rhino init, Rhino update, and then you can do your Rhino-d install, whatever it is, and then you can choose a desktop.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting, actually. And it's meant to be a rolling release. So the updates, when you run your Rhino -update, that updates everything, I think, because you're on their repos. But you can still do a standard apt install. So it allows you to do everything you can within Ubuntu as well. So you can do apt install software. So you can do that as well. So there's interesting. I might run it a bit longer and see what it does, you know, for a month or so and see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, that's very cool. I'd be interested in trying, like, was Unity an option in that?
Yeah, Unity was an option. Yeah, absolutely.
That would have been fun to do a rolling Rhino Unity and just see how long you could sail on that ship there.
Well, they got Unity, Ubuntu, and Unity. So I don't know what the standard Unity would ever look like, because I don't know if I've ever seen just a Unity desktop without any Ubuntu influence, or any influence, to be honest. And I might even try that actually to see what that looks like. That'd be interesting to see what a standard Unity looks like out of the box. So I'll probably do quite a few different installs. One thing I want to ask is, I've never seen a desktop environment called Posh Core. Does anyone know what Posh Core is?
It's probably the best looking one.
I don't know.
So that was interesting. And it's also got UK UI, which I tried as well, because the UK UI desktop, the Ubuntu Chillin user interface, is coming along quite nicely, that desktop environment, actually. So that's another one that I'm very interested in keeping an eye on. But yeah, rolling Rhino, very interesting. I'd never heard of it until Aris put the links up on Telegram, and I thought, rolling Rhino, never heard of it. I might check that out, because I think everyone's going to do Unity.
And you're basically correct.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'm really glad you took the time to really dig into that, because you know, I'm vicariously excited through you know, around the world on the other side through you. Did you try the Plasma, or you said GNOME, Unity, and what else did you try? Minimal, obviously, but
there's GNOME, Ubuntu. I tried the UK UI, the Cinnamon. I'm not a big KDE fan, so I tend not to go toward KDE. But they do have KDE Full and KDE Standard. So they've got those two. They've got XFCE Ubuntu, XFCE, LXQT Ubuntu, LXQT. Yeah, they've got all these, and they've got Sway, Awesome, BSPWM, DWM, OpenBox, Enlightenment, i3. So LXDE, is that still a thing? Is LXDE maintained by somebody still, or not?
Raspberry Pi Foundation.
Are they the only ones who are maintaining it?
I think so.
Okay, because I was going to say, outside of, Raspbian, that it's not maintained or used anywhere by any distro that's, been updated in the past, year or two? Because everybody who was using LXDE has moved to either XFCE or LXQT. So far as I'm aware,
used to use LXDE and they switched it to XFCE now.
Yeah.
They use like a lot of components of LXDE, but I know that
it's
Mark
interesting. It's
said he's
an
going to switch
option.
away. Yeah, it is interesting, but it's probably because
I think it sounds like they basically just made any desktop environment or window manager in the repositories an option for you.
Yeah.
So considering LXDE is still there, makes sense.
Yeah.
So I find it quite interesting that you can start from scratch and you can do a minimal install. I thought I was going to have wireless options, but actually their website, I must admit, their website, very easy to follow, and it's got it all laid out on the standard install and the minimal install, what the procedures are you need to follow. It's not difficult in any way. And so I followed those and everything was up and running. I did have a couple of problems initially to start with because I was a little bit unfamiliar with the whole thing. I may have done things in a different order. Then I did another install. I think I've done about 4 or 5 installs just to get myself familiar with the process. It's one of those things you need to go through to become familiar with, I think. So I thought I'd try a few different ones. And it's piqued my interest a little bit, actually, to have a rolling Ubuntu base with a different repository as well. So it's quite interesting.
That is. Very cool. All right, so before we get to your general user experience, I want to move on. First, I want to say, welcome, Eris. I'm glad you made it. So apparently they turned the lights back on for you. Uh-oh.
The lights, but not the sound.
Apparently, yes. We got the lights are on, but we don't actually have the sound. It's all good. Hopefully we can get that worked out. So Ben, your installation process for Ubuntu Unity, how did that go for you?
Well, like I said in the beginning, it was fine. Everything went good. Now, this, after theming it up and playing around with it a little bit, this is where things go down the tubes, basically. Like I said in the chat a bit ago, I tried making like a Stormless Unity thing, and that kind of blew up my installation, unfortunately. It was pretty funny because I had it all set up, everything was hunky-dory, and then as soon as I ran Wolfland Builder, it went basically the Etsy apt folder went bye-bye because the ISO turned out to be 4 gigabytes, and then I tried to do some system cleanup with like BleachBit and clearing the Etsy Scale folder to try and fix some things to clear it now.
So Ben, I don't think that was part of your installation process.
Well, yeah, I was just describing why it broke. That's all.
Right. Well, I'm curious to know about if you through the installation process, not the
overall user experience.
No,
yeah.
right. Not adding the Ben secret sauce. Before we get to the Ben secret sauce.
Just the install process. Okay.
Right, yeah. So
well, the install process went fine. I mean, there was no problems there.
Okay.
But...
Now, did you have the similar issue where it took a while for it to go through like an ISO check? Like
typical install? Not really. No.
Yeah, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that problem.
I didn't have that either. Basically, on my computer, it went fine. Yeah, no problems at all. And then, yeah, post installation went a little wonky, but initial installation, no problem at all. And yeah, I've been very happy with it so far.
Well, excellent.
I noticed that the ISO has actually 2 partitions on it when you load it onto a USB. It has the Ubuntu partition, and then it has another one that says writable.
Yeah, I didn't examine the ISO like that. Here, Dan comes out with a dissection knife and his microscope to see what's going on.
Well, that's the wrong one. We need the other one. I got too many USBs laying around here. They're ganging up on me. They're gonna eat me alive.
All right. Well,
yeah. On the ISO, there's one that's called writable, and it looks like it's got log files on it. And then there's another partition that says Ubuntu Unity, and then it's got the install stuff for Unity.
Interesting.
So there you go, double partitions for an ISO.
Interesting.
I'll see that from time to time on distros and ISOs.
Well, this is the first time I noticed it.
Well, see, now I want to investigate myself.
Doug Tilron says, is it writable for persistence? Never thought of that.
Well, now it has install logs in that area. It has 3 of them. We can open up one of them and see what's in it.
Sure, you work on that. So, Seeker, I don't know. Do you want to describe any of your installation process for? I know you didn't do an unofficial; you did the official, but I don't want to. You know, it's tangentially related. So I don't know if you had anything you want to add to your installation experience.
No, I went through the normal process, and I just saw the new. I don't know what they call the new Unity. It's not the Unity. Ubiquity installer. I don't know what they call it now, but it was pretty smooth and fast.
Okay. That's good. Do you have any issue with the it like going through and checking the ISO out of the gate?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Well, it's interesting because I didn't either, but yet some people did. I wonder what the trigger
Maybe
is for that. There's got to be a
Maybe the
trigger.
hardware setups, different
Yeah.
hardwares. I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting. So Thomas, you didn't get a chance to do that to work on it, but that's okay. And Servan, you said you didn't get a chance either. So make sure I don't want to skip over you. Yeah, because you said you're going to try Unity sometime later, and I told you about the Plasma. Okay. So Eris, did you get your microphone here worked out? Really hoping you did. Hopefully Zoom's not rejecting you, or maybe the generator's not holding up. I don't know.
Iris is a silent puppet master.
That's true. He does do that. He'll send me messages and tell me everything I'm doing wrong. Eris may seem like a really nice guy, easygoing, but no, he's quite the he prods a lot. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Eris is a good guy. Great guy. Okay, so as far as the general user experience, Steve, how did it go for you using Ubuntu Unity?
It was a bit different, but I mean, it's as long as I can do the super key and type in my programs, I'm pretty good. I mean, it looks marvelous. It is a great looking distribution. He's got some awesome jellyfish wallpaper that looks really good, nice and colorful. Even though that he does have Flatpak supports, a lot of it's still a lot of snap, like the Firefox is to snap. It takes a bit, at least I'm pretty sure it's to snap. Software store. I know I haven't pulled it up since I looked at it on my stream a few weeks back, but it seems to be issues right now running with updates. It's like constantly stuck in checking. But the theming, like you turn it to the dark theme, it's pretty well, throughout. It looks good. The bar on the side is still, I guess, how Ubuntu set up. Unity, and then with GNOME now off to the side. I'm okay with it. I usually don't use any panels or desktop icons. I can't seem to bring up anything in the store either right now, so I can't see what version is going on. But I didn't use it a whole lot. I think I did install OBS on it, and again, GIMP went pretty smooth. I mean, it's a nice looking, definitely a nice looking setup.
Did you have any troubles like in just using it? Could you see yourself, if you obviously you already love what you love with Peppermint, so that aside, with your Unity user experience, could you see yourself using this as your regular daily driver desktop?
I could with some tweaks. I mean, it does look nice. I mean, and again, very, very colorful with the theming in that. I like kind of like what Pop does with when you bring up the menu. It divides a lot of things into certain categories like home and recently used, your folders and files. That's nice. I'm not big. I tried the global menu on a couple of distributions before, and I just can't get used to it. Maybe because I don't use it enough. I know I saw some comments in the Telegram group about how it gives you that much more real estate. And outside, I like, the close button. I'm used to it on the right. Everything's on the left.
Right.
I mean, if it was something that I was just using, I guess, I would definitely be able to get used to it. If I say, I don't know if I would, like, if Pop went away today, with the GNOME, would I go to Unity? I don't know. I can't honestly say.
Well, the question I would have is, let's say for whatever reason, whatever crazy reason, XFCE and Pop just like disappeared and you had Unity. Could you be content with Unity?
I could be, yeah. I mean, it's usable. It's very usable.
Okay.
It's just what I'm not used to,
Okay, that's fair. Just curious. All right, Dan, you still there, man? Your camera's off. Your microphone is muted.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I feel like you're rejecting me already.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm
still here.
dealing with a nosebleed.
Oh,
So did Steve punch you in the face?
Allergies.
Oh, okay.
My experience is, yes, this is a pretty nice looking distro. Now it just showed me the tweak tool. I kind of got it all worked out.
Oh, good.
I have been using it kind of as a daily thing. I got the DVD player to play DVDs. I watched
Excellent.
James Bond on it.
Which one?
Skyfall.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know.
I knew you would ask that question.
I just want to
I've
see.
watched some
If you hesitated,
YouTube
I wouldn't
videos.
believe you. See, I'm just kidding.
I watched some YouTube videos on it, played some music on it. So yeah, I've been using it. It's just, little adjustments here and there, not being able to know where the tweak tool is and not knowing there is a tweak tool.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's fairly nice. Can I use it for a daily driver? If I didn't want to do any gaming or anything like that, yes, because I obviously have to use my desktop for gaming. Other than that, other things that I do around the house with a computer, it could easily do that as well.
Okay.
I mean, most of these challenges that we do, I can use them for everything else except gaming. And I usually, after a while, you have to use it to actually be comfortable. Well, you get a bond with your distro,
Sure. No, I understand that. I completely.
You got to find out like the hidden things are, like the tweak tool.
I completely
And
understand
every distro.
the necessity to bond with your distro.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
But once you bond with it, know where everything's at. Most of them are usable. GNOME would probably be the thing I'd choose the least. This would be somewhere in between. Cinnamon's my favorite for gaming. I can replace it with XFCE on a laptop if I'm not gaming. But yeah, this is some good stuff. I'd say it's worthy of carrying the Ubuntu name.
Okay. Note at you, Colin. As far as your general user experience with using rolling Rhino with the different desktop environments, would you be
All right,
comfortable?
well, I'll give you some of my experiences with Unity first, because I did start with that, and I'm very familiar with Unity because I did use it quite a fair bit when it first came out. I was messing around with the when you do your hot corners and you drag your windows to top left, top right, and all that. Within the Unity tweak tool, every category has a reset defaults, which is something I think a lot of distros should do. But the one thing I found with Unity was when I did hit that reset defaults under certain categories, the whole dash and dock disappeared. So I think there must be a bug within that. So
Okay.
if anyone from Unity is watching, there might be some sort of bug there. But I think I don't know if Unity's become somewhat of nostalgia rather than a desktop environment. I don't know whether it works really well with themes and that anymore because of the changes in GNOME, but they must be working pretty hard to keep that thing up to date. I have to think, those developers. So I don't know whether they plan on moving Unity forward to Unity 8, or was it Unity?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what version it's on, but I think it's 7.
Yeah, it's 7. It was actually just released a new stable 7.5.1 October of 2021.
So before Unity sort of dropped off the radar, they were working on 8, which is, I think, meant to be the convergence between desktop and phone. So whether they move forward to that or they just maintain the current Unity would be an interesting question to be answered. But as far as the rolling Rhino is concerned, I'm quite interested in doing quite a few different minimal installs and trying all the different types of desktop environments, especially the Ubuntu and the non-Ubuntu ones, to see what the what can you say, the raw or the standard desktop looks out of the box. So I'd have to think that some of these would look like what some of the desktop look like on Arch. So if you do a standard Arch install where there's no influence from any developers when it comes to theming, I'd have to think that this is what some of these desktops would look like without the Ubuntu influence. So there's a lot of Ubuntu ones here. So I'm interested to see what they look like, and maybe even the KDE full and standard, see what that looks like too. I don't know what the difference is between full and standard. Nate, do you know? KDE?
I do not know. I imagine full is probably all the like the application, like the standard set of
The applications. Yeah,
probably.
Okay.
That'd be my guess. I don't actually know though. That's like the whole Geary application, whatever they
Sure.
something like that.
Yep.
But
yeah, but I will continue that, and maybe over a month do a Rhino update, see how it goes. And I did read down here. It does say here that the latest Linux kernel is installed from the Ubuntu mainline repositories. It says that on the website, so I found that.
Okay.
So that's what that means. Yeah. So you're right. It's the latest Linux kernel. So if you're on up-to-date software and you want to be on Ubuntu base not software, hardware. So if you've got some new hardware and you want it and you needed some update Linux kernels, this thing seems to be rolling with that, plus your desktop environments as well. So, and you've also got the opportunity to install software from Ubuntu apt.
Okay.
Or the apt repository. So yeah,
that's cool.
Interesting.
Seeker, do you have anything you want to say about like your general user experience?
From the old days that I used to, well, the new days I should say, it's been experience. It's been an interesting experience because I'm so used to Arch, going back to Ubuntu for a little bit. It was actually nostalgic for me.
And was Unity something you used for a long time then in the past?
I got into it in 12.10 or 13.10. I don't remember, unfortunately. But I still remember utilizing it quite a bit and finding out about the tweak tool. That's when I started.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people got started on Unity. A lot of users did. I know, I mean, not everyone here, but a lot of people really. I mean, say Ubuntu or Canonical did a great job of popularizing the Linux desktop through Unity. So Thomas, have you actually used Unity in the past?
Yes. When I started on Linux, actually, after I got off of Ubermix, which is its own weird story, I started using Unity almost immediately.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm very familiar with Unity. I haven't used it in a while, unfortunately, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. And
one thing I wanted to mention, Nate,
sure,
if I can. Oh, sorry.
Yes, no, please.
Yeah?
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing I do really like about the Unity desktop, and I'd like to see a lot of other people do, is the heads-up display is really awesome. If you're using LibreOffice or any other Office program, you just press the Alt button, you can search for anything you like. It really saves having to rummage through all the, what can you say, settings and menus and that. Yeah, so I think that in itself is a big time saver. I reckon the heads-up display. I think they've got it in Ubuntu Mate. I'm pretty sure has that.
Yeah, that is a neat feature. Yeah, it's actually really cool because when you start typing it, it'll like give you a menu list of the different commands and whatnot. That is a very neat. That's it. Is there any other desktop that does? Mate does that?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because Mate has the different styles that you can choose from within within the Mate Ubuntu Mate desktop, and I think one of them is Mutiny, which is they've
I got
jumbled the words up.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure they have the heads-up display in that as well.
Okay.
The HUD, they call it the HUD.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a neat feature for sure, and that would be a nice feature to have in Plasma, really. I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised Plasma doesn't have that, to be honest. They've got just about everything else.
True. So, Ben, you've used Unity in the past, and so what would you say, from your perspective, is like the key feature of Unity that...
The key feature of Unity, well, I'm not gonna say it's Compass because we all know how janky that can be, other than, the nice effects, things like that. But I would say the key thing about Unity is that, to me, it felt like it was Linux's version of Windows 7. You might say it had a nice interface, like Colin said, the killer HUD, I think that, the ease of use, the familiarity, and it just being a killer desktop in and of itself makes it cool. And yes, it doesn't have a lot of bling and blang by default, but to me it's kind of like XFCE. It makes it, yes, it's minimal, but at the same time you can make it what the heck you want with a heck of a lot of ease, because again, you've got the tweak tool, and it does have a little bit of a learning curve to it, again, similar to XFCE, but at the same time, if you give it a little bit of time, you can figure it out. Because, it's really, in my opinion, not that hard to tinker around with Unity. So,
That's cool. Now, something I thought was interesting about my general experience was, one, it was a fun trip, and what I thought was interesting about this release is I had Flatpak, the Deb, and Snaps for a lot of different application options.
different apps, yeah.
And so I thought that was really neat that they did that for this, and I thought it was nice. I like having the options. If I want to run the Flatpak, if I want to run the Snap, I can do whatever I want there.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to pipe in about what areas they found difficult when running Unity or whatever?
I reckon, just going on Dan's experience, I have to say one thing I've noticed with Unity is the lack of, what can you say, exploration, I suppose is a word, because when you open the HUD and you click on the software icon, there's a little small line that says see more installed apps, right? So you got to click on that little line, and then it drops down all your other apps. So it's not obvious to everything that's installed within the Unity desktop unless you click on that link, and then it drops down the rest of the applications. So I think it lacks, like if you look at the GNOME desktop now, you hit the super button, all your apps are there in your face. You can scroll through, look for your apps, whereas the Unity desktop seems to hide most of the installed apps, which I think is one thing that people would probably struggle to find things that are installed.
Yeah, that throws me too.
Yeah.
I would say
playing a DVD song. Sorry, Nate.
No, go ahead. I'm lowest
Playing
priority.
a DVD. I'm sorry, not DVD song. Playing a DVD movie was a challenge, especially during the learning days of Linux and using Unity. That was a bit of a challenge, discovering how to do all that.
I don't want to say anything else on that. So for me, I would say some of the things like it's their design decisions, and it's what what works for me versus not. And I like the application menu in it. It's a little off-putting that I couldn't move the size of it. So I want to just change the size of it a little bit just at different times. But not for nothing. That's not a huge deal. The thing that I didn't actually like initially, I found a little confusing, is the fact that the applications aren't really organized, and I had to hit like a little drop down in the menu button just to find just to scan through the applications. So there's see fewer results, see more results, and so I wasn't really sure what for what reason I was shown what I was being shown. But outside of that, once I kind of understood how it thinks, I was pretty much fine with it. I don't know that I would want to live in it, but if I had a choice between, let's say, Unity and like GNOME, I would take Unity hands down. It feels, I don't know, nicer. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the global menu, but I see and I kind of understand where they're going with that. Yes, Anna Rita, it is organizing my applications is absolutely a must for me. It keeps my CDO in line. Dan, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I just discovered the search icon at the top.
Uh-huh.
If you right click on that, you get a menu. It says Home, Applications, Files and Folders, Videos, Musics, and Photos. You can click on Applications and it'll display the applications and categories.
Really? I don't see them in categories. I must be doing something wrong. I have recently used, installed. It's a big list.
Yeah, I clicked on Applications and it says no image available.
You must have done something
But
wrong.
there's if you right click on that, there is them options to look at them 5 things, whatever they are, 6 things, and figure out what they are. Files and folders. Okay, you click on files and folders, it shows you all your desktop folders.
Well,
and plus some stuff you've opened.
I see you can filter results and get different things. If you just want to see the games installed, you click on that.
Right. Now with the ISO, with having the 2 partitions on them, the writable one I have 3 folders in writable and they're crash logs and they're all dated the same day, but they're -0, -1, and -2. Like I created 3 of them and identified them. If you open the folders, it's got a folder in the folder for crash report and the other folder says log. And the log's got a bunch of data files in it. And this might be, I'm going to take a guess at this. This might be why it takes so long to install it. They had trouble installing it. So it went to writable and started making these logs until it come up with a combination that hit.
Yeah, maybe. Couldn't tell. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you
It's
for
there
sure.
if you want to look at it on your stick.
All right. So, anybody else with any areas they found difficult? If they want to just chime in.
Again, I'm going to bring up the software center. So I remember when I first installed it and there was some updates, software center wasn't working for me. I had to run into, sudo app update and sudo app upgrade in the terminal. I haven't had it on for over a week or two. Came in today and the updates that are in the software center wouldn't update. And I ended up having to run it through the terminal with 144 updates to go through, and a couple of them were like the new Linux, the new kernel on that. Now, once I did that, I'm back in the software center where the updates are, and everything is updating. So that was a problem when I first installed it, and it's a problem now since I hadn't been in there for a while. And then now it's telling me no updates have been installed on the system all of a sudden. And it just went to an update and it says up to date. So there are some bugs here. Earlier, I couldn't get in anything that when I clicked on the install button or install, it wasn't showing me any applications. Now they're showing the applications again. So there had to be an update to fix that. And we got to remember that it's still a kind of a work in progress. It's a spin. It's not I don't think it's 100% of a distro yet. And he's probably still working on it, but the software center was giving me issues. So
I got you. I only installed any flat packs with it, so I didn't.
I
have
did.
experience there. You did?
yeah, I installed OBS and GIMP.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes with Flatpak pre-installed. I installed the smallest program, but probably it's the smallest GIMP there is, and that's Pinta. Pinta's like a photo editor. It's fairly old, but if you need to resize something on the fly, it's good stuff.
Okay. Well, how about any other thoughts about Ubuntu Unity? Do you think this is a desktop environment that you think could be maybe modernized or brought back into the forefront very easily, or do you think there's too much rust on it and a lot more elbow grease is required than maybe we see?
I don't know. I
little
didn't
bit.
use it in the beginning, so I can't really say. But what I'm looking at right now is pretty modern. I mean, it's just themed really well. Like I said again, with great wallpaper, it's got a good look to it.
A little bit more elbow
I think-
grease, I think.
A little more what? Say again?
Elbow grease.
A little more elbow grease. Okay.
I think people have moved on from Unity, to be honest.
Okay.
I always
That-
come across the occasional griper that they miss Unity.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting the way it evolved because nobody really liked it at the start. And when it started fading away, everybody said, we want Unity back. So it's interesting how the whole thing developed from a lot of hate and then a lot of love and then this, and then they all missed it. But I think you'd probably find that a lot of people have moved on from that, I'd have to think. But I'm curious, Nate, because you say that you don't like the global menu, but I would have thought that would have been good for someone like yourself because the menu's in a consistent spot, no matter what you're doing on the desktop.
So you might think that, but I like to have my applications like somewhat contained, and I want everything by that application because the way I break things down.
Right.
So that
Right.
So
Okay.
that's how I like it. And also, in a multi-monitor setup, I really don't like the global menu at all. Like to me, it was very difficult in a multi-monitor setup, and I didn't try it this time.
Right.
So this is previous experiences. It's not that it was bad. I don't want to say that because that's not appropriate. It was just that it didn't work for me. I like to drive everything also to the bottom, and then I look up for my I look up to work and look down to check, if that makes any sense. It's just the way my
No,
eyes
I can
work.
understand that. No,
Yeah, it's
makes
just-
sense.
It's just the way I
Yeah.
function, and it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with what's good or better. It's just the way I like it.
Here's the
Yeah.
bonus
On to-
question. What is the desktop that you use with OpenSUSE?
I use Plasma.
Use Plasma?
Mhm.
You're a KDE guy, okay.
I like KDE because I never stick with any defaults for like nobody's defaults work for me. I like to shift things around a little bit. There's just little minor tweaks. And so I want to have most people probably say my taskbar on the bottom is way too busy and there's something wrong with me. And and to that I would say, yes, you are correct. It is too busy and there's something wrong with me. I like to see it, if something is not operating like I expect, I want to be able to look down immediately and see what's going on. So I can see like disk activity, I can see like my swap space, my cores and everything immediately, and so I can see if something is out of whack. And with that, then I can quickly go and adjust. If I have to kill something, I can kill something. And so I like to have that kind of control. I feel like I have more control of my system. And so I just, whenever I have a problem, I'm looking down immediately. It's right there on my taskbar on the lower right-hand side. So I don't want to see the clock on the top because I just don't. I want to look down for the clock. It's just kind of how I do it, and I kind of sort of blame Windows for that. But I think it works.
I blame Windows for a lot of things.
So Nate, when you're using global menu on two screens, that I would have to assume that the global menu, even if you're on your secondary screen, the global menu would have to be up on the top left on your far screen. Is it? Is that how the global menu works on two screens?
When you maximized it, it was fine because it's like you maximize the screen onto one. It would be there. You have something else maximized on another screen. But let's say you're doing something a little bit unorthodox and you had one thing spanning multiple screens, which doesn't happen very often. Only morons do that. So I was doing it, and I just found it difficult because you had like the additional global menu on the other screen, so just like it was kind of a disjointed feel to me. And so
okay, right.
So I just didn't like it. And again, it's like an edge case. It's no normal person would have that same irritation because no normal person actually spans multiple screens. It was a very specific case of where I was trying to analyze something, and so I stretched something across multiple screens, and so I just don't. That doesn't work for me with Unity. Maybe I was holding it wrong, so maybe there's something else I should have done differently. But for me, it didn't work right.
No, that's just why we're all different, isn't it? So we all work in different ways. It's the way the mind thinks, and people like. I suppose that's where Linux comes in handy, having so many different desktop environments, because
I think so.
Suits a lot of people's different workflows.
But I also think that Unity is a great first desktop for someone to use in Linux because it's different enough. They say, oh, this is a different system, but it's familiar enough that anybody can really pick it up and go with it, if that makes any sense. Because I think a problem with Plasma, if I'm honest, is it's too much like Windows as far as the paradigm. So people are going to expect it to run like Windows and function like Windows. GNOME is different enough.
That's a good point.
Where you're going to expect it to be slightly different, and so I think Unity was actually a great user experience for somebody who's just moving into Linux for the first time. It's different enough that it requires them to think slightly differently, but familiar enough that they can get along just fine. So I think somewhere Unity struck the perfect balance there. Although I never liked Unity, I have to acknowledge that it was the perfect balance of different and familiar.
I remember when I was playing with Unity as my first experience with a new desktop environment aside from Windows. I had it for a few weeks, and then I started distro hopping, and I eventually stopped.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna go around here and say, and for what you tried, why should you give Ubuntu, whatever, Unity or Rolling Rhino a spin or something related? So Steve, let's say you're in an elevator and you're going up 5 floors. What are you going to tell somebody like why they should try Ubuntu Unity?
I probably couldn't.
That's fair. No worries. We can leave it right there. I like that answer. Dan, if let's say you were in an elevator and someone asked you about Ubuntu Unity and why they should give it a spin, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, hey, there's this other unofficial flavor of Ubuntu. It's called Unity. People way back in the day really loved this. And if you're an old timer, you should give this a try and see if you like it or not. There you go. We got one right there. Seeker seems to be a person that knows about Unity.
Yep. He said he was an old timer.
Even though it's before my time, I'd say, I'd tell anybody to take a look at something.
You don't say that very often though, Dan, do you? Before my time?
Right.
Colin, someone says you're in an elevator. Why should I try the Rolling Rhino?
I'm in an elevator again. Oh my goodness. We going up or down? How many floors are there?
Well, this is Australia, so it's going down.
You push the stop button on the panel.
All right. Well, I'd have to say
I think like down because it's down under, so it's either down or the other down.
How about this? He's gone back to his wife's homeland again for a visit, and he's in a rickshaw, and he has 10 blocks to go.
Well, okay. Well, I'd have to say that if you're going to try Rolling Rhino, it's not for new users. So, good luck with that. But you might find yourself on a distro that you don't need to install anymore. You might be happy with that. And it's something different. And you need to use the terminal as well. Sorry about that.
I think it's perfect. Excellent. So Seeker, Let's say
Yes,
you
sir.
are in an elevator, but it's actually going sideways because somehow your elevator's broken. And you're stuck in there for like 5 minutes, and someone asks you about Ubuntu Unity. What would you tell them if they should try it? What for what reason should they try it?
It's different. If you're a person who accepts a challenge or likes a challenge, I would try it just to be different and see if you can actually do it.
Okay. And like, if there's any feature highlight, what do you think you would tell them?
Well, if you don't like Windows and you want to try new features, try the search on Unity.
Okay.
It's
And
faster than normal.
All right.
of course, Eris would find an elevator that goes sideways on YouTube. Thank you, Eris. Thomas, you're in an elevator and the cable broke and it's coming down crashing. And so and someone says, before I die, why should I try Ubuntu Unity?
You're giving me a hard one. To understand what we had to deal with before GNOME was a thing, for better or for worse.
Well, GNOME was a thing before. It went
Right,
sideways.
but I mean, like before Ubuntu went for GNOME.
Oh, okay.
Right, that's
It's
what I
like,
mean.
so like the interim desktop, the in between GNOME's desktop.
Sure.
Okay. See what life was like in the 20 teens. So Siobhan, do you wanna add anything to that?
If you want to use Unity, maybe use KDE and make it Unity. You can make KDE whatever you want.
That's right. You can. I agree. Ben, you're in an elevator. I've run out of interesting things to say about the elevator.
You could say you want to
It's
have
stuck-
love in the elevator. Have
Yeah.
Unity.
Okay. So someone asks about let's say you're stuck between floors and you can't get out right now,
Yeah,
and they ask you
right.
and they say, hey, I hear about this Ubuntu Unity.
Yeah.
Why should I try Ubuntu Unity?
If you want to break free from the Mac OS or the Windows OS environment and you're sick of it to tears, we'll put it that way, and you want to have something really new, really kick butt, keep it clean a little bit, and really,
Thank you.
no problem, and really spanking new, just something you will make you love your computer again, whether it's old or new. Try Unity.
Okay. I like it. Eris,
Yeah.
how's your microphone?
Still not working, I think.
Nope, it's working. I hear it.
Hey.
Yay! So, I know you've used. Did you happen to try any of the remixes or the unofficial?
No, I didn't get a chance to do
Okay,
it.
but have you used Unity in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
The
And what
thing
did
about the thing about Unity in the past, it was really ahead of its time.
Mhm.
The way it does the HUD, I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen another desktop try doing something like that. Mostly because I guess GTK in GNOME does away with the menu system, the traditional menu system. But it's so fast and so intuitive to search for things that way. Like if you want to search for, like, as you say, you're using LibreOffice and you're looking for how to edit the page settings or something, you can just search for that and you don't have to look through all the menus. And another thing that it did that was ahead of its time, I think, is the way it scales up monitors. I think it did fractional scaling back then. I don't know if it still works because of the technical debt, but it did it back then. And this is something that GNOME fairly recently started doing. And some of the other desktops don't do it all. So that was ahead of its time. The biggest obstacle I think for Unity now is that Compiz is dead. So that's a lot of heavy lifting for going forward. They have to maintain Unity plus do Compiz or do a replacement and do all the central technical work to make that work.
Or probably maybe change over to something else. That's possible.
Yeah.
So Aris, you're at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. You rent an
Ooh.
elevator. You can go anywhere. What do you tell somebody?
For what? For
Unity.
about Unity? I think I love the HUD. If you use Audacity, if you use LibreOffice, you can it comes in handy. Just looking up anything you want to do, or GIMP because of all the menu system, all the different subsections of the menu. You
Right.
can just search for it.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's a feature that I think a lot of desktop environments are still sorely missing. And that would be a great addition to GNOME or Plasma or any distribution. I wonder why it hasn't been incorporated. There must be something complex about it.
The way Ubuntu Monte does it is that it uses Rofi. I'm not exactly sure what other things, but it uses Rofi to display the HUD menu.
Okay.
And since everything is going away with that with GTK, that's kind of a problem. Like Firefox, I think doesn't work with the menu. I think I'm not sure if it does, but I know the stamp doesn't. I don't know if the regular version, the Deb, still does. So that's another problem because menus are going away, so you can't really put menus in the HUD if there's no menus.
Well, it looks like there's a you said Rofi, right? It looks like there's actually a way to incorporate it into Plasma, the Plasma HUD.
It used to work in Plasma. I'm not sure if this was the version 4 of KDE or if this was 5, but it stopped working. It stopped being maintained.
Oh, okay.
What's
Yep.
Rofi? What's Rofi? Is that like a Compiz or something? Or
Rofi is like D menu. If you know what that is, but it's like a thing you can call up that draws like a menu, and you can use this to search for applications. You can use it to search for scripts. It's very flexible. You can also make your own menus and stuff like that, just like D menu. And the way they use it is just, I think it displays the actual drop down menu when you search for, like, you press Alt and then you can search for the menus with the HUD. That's Rofi showing you that, I think.
Oh, okay. So that's used in like a PWM or an awesome window manager or something, yeah?
Yeah,
I've seen
because the window managers are very bare. Well, a window manager is just basically what it says. The window manager is just the program that helps you draw the windows there so you can tile them and display them and everything. Everything else you gotta find yourself. So usually somebody who uses a window manager has to put in like a D menu or Rofi. That way they can have a menu so they can search for applications, or they can have a display
cool.
other things that way.
It looks like there was
good to know.
a release of something like a HUD in Plasma 2012 and 2019, but nothing since. So interesting.
And then no one really mentioned that when you change the wallpaper, it kind of changes the HUD and all that, the look and feel, or the theme, the transparency.
I kind of like
the color of the outstanding color of the wallpaper.
I kind of like the purple look, so I didn't change it. I know, something other than green, right? Yeah, I thought it was that's cool. All right. Well, excellent. So for future distribution explorations, you can send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. In fact, I just received a suggestion today for trying. Oh, I gotta find that email now. I should have had it up ready.
Ooh.
But I did get a suggestion. Of course, StormOS is on there because StormOS will always be on there.
Yes.
Because you're gonna make sure I remember that.
Yes.
But there is so Sam from Gecko Linux wanted to let us know that he's doing something similar to what he's doing with Gecko Linux, but with a Debian base, and it's called Spiral Linux. So the web address, I'll put it in the YouTubes, is spiralinux.github.io. And so he's working on apparently because OpenSUSE Leap is they're kind of changing. They're in his opinion the future is uncertain because they're changing some of the away from being a traditional slow moving distribution to something else. So there is for that he's kind of hedging his outlook, and he decided he would do something similar, but using a Debian base. So thought that was interesting, and thought I'd share that.
Huh.
But anyway, so if you have any suggestions for things to look at, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag distro exploration in the Telegram, Matrix, Discord, or the Discourse forum. You can fire it off in there. We can start a thread. And so Steve, what is on the menu for next week?
Application appetizer. Is there an application that anybody would like to check out?
I have one which I was experimenting with today.
Okay, fire away.
And it's actually called. Actually, I have the link here.
Yeah.
My Uzi. My Uzi.
What,
Yeah,
what
I'll
is
put
this?
it in.
What is this application?
This is it is a ad-free Spotify client, GTK based, using your current GTK
Theme.
theme.
Yeah.
I'll give you the. I'll post
I was
here in
looking at
the
it with
chat.
Speaker on Discord earlier. It's pretty cool.
Put it out in the chat.
And actually, Nate, we're thinking of adding it to Storm OS in the next release, just an FYI.
Okay. So they have a flat pack. They have
Yeah.
Arch. They have Arch, but nobody uses that. So
That's hilarious. Yeah. It is a flat pack.
all right, 3 people use it. Got Colin, Seeker, and Ben. Outside of that, I'm just messing with you.
That's
So-
funny.
I know.
So that might not be a bad application because I've been looking for a reason to try Spotify. Like I've used it in the web, like the web client.
The web interface.
Yeah, and I don't like web interfaces. I enjoy them about as much as I enjoy picking up toothpicks. So so getting your fingernails and it hurts because you grab too many
Yeah.
all
Oh,
the time.
that's-
You don't have to with this one. You don't have to create an account with Spotify.
You don't have to do any of that
And-
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm worried about. I don't need to open any more streaming accounts.
No, it's
No, this one.
no. This one you don't.
It
Right.
says here, it says here that it's the music is streamed directly from YouTube.
Is it?
Huh. I don't know if that's a problem or not.
Well, what are some
So
thoughts
basically
here?
just listen to it.
All these is streamed directly from YouTube. I see. Yeah, it says that.
Yeah. But you just
Interesting.
it's not recording. It's just streaming it. It's not
Yeah,
recording.
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
correct.
It streams music from YouTube, not actually from Spotify.
Okay.
All right.
So it's a YouTube streaming app.
Yes. I wonder how that
Yeah.
works.
It,
Yeah,
it might
I
be
mean-
something we could look into,
Yeah, let's
It's
take it
Linux.
apart.
Take it up.
Well, if there is interest in that,
Well, I mean, it could be a good filler,
I can look at the module if I understood Pi enough.
yeah, we're just exploring an
Yeah,
application. So it might be fun to try that out. It's something different. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, rather
So-
than our
Yeah.
usual distro discussion. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of distro discussions, there's a lot. It's springtime, and so there are a lot of distributions that are like just being cranked out right now, like
A
right
heck
before
of a
summer.
lot. Yeah.
So normally I don't want to do like a distro about every 4 weeks or so. And another distro that's come out recently is Fedora, 30 something,
Fedora, yeah,
36 I think.
that would be interesting.
So not next week, but the week after, and I already put it in the calendar, Steve.
Yeah.
We're gonna do we're gonna explore Fedora. So somebody, I'm gonna
Boy.
try and get. I'm gonna contact some from the Fedora team as well to see if we can get them to like Neil or something to join us on that. So, anyway, so we're gonna check out Fedora, the latest Fedora as well. I don't care what flavor, whatever suits you, and we
Yeah.
can talk about that in 2 weeks. So that's
I might
that-
consider that.
no.
Fedora comes in
Fedora
flavors.
Explorer.
Fedora,
Yeah,
Fedora,
it
Fedora the
does.
Explorer. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fedora the
Or the
Explorer.
Not
Explorer.
Explorer.
Yeah, it comes with
Oh,
XFCE and
God.
KDE.
I thought Fedora only came in GNOME.
No,
No, they have.
XFCE
no,
and
no,
KDE.
Yeah, they got the whole. Yeah, they got KDE.
They got everything, man.
They have a
I'm
nice
going
class
Gnome's
on
the
it.
first one to try the GNOME.
What's that?
GNOME is
Tom?
their flagship.
It is.
GNOME is their flagship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It is.
Mhm.
So I just want to actually bring up something real quick here. We're just about out of time, but
Yes.
Ubuntu 22.10, since we did the Ubuntu exploration, is switching
Yes.
to. Actually, hold on. Let me back up here. So I want to get a little bit of the news. I want to thank Michael Tennell from This Week in Linux for giving us a great flight of topics, but we didn't have time to get to them all. So I want to. We're going to check. We're going to try sample one of the flight of the news, and that's about Ubuntu 22.10 is going to have PipeWire. They're switching to PipeWire.
Oh no.
I'm already using it.
You're already
Oh.
using
I'm
it.
on Debian.
So I'm also already using it now on all my systems. So it's been great. The so if you remember, there was a lot of pain. Yeah, Michael Tunnell from Tunnel Vision. Eris, thanks. So for those unfamiliar, PipeWire is a project that aims to greatly improve handling of audio and video under Linux. It provides a lower latency, graph-based processing engine on top of audio and video devices that can be used to support the use cases currently handled by both Pulse Audio and Jack. PipeWire is designed with a powerful security model that makes interacting with audio and video devices from containerized applications easy to include support for Flatpak applications, which is awesome. One of the coolest things about PipeWire is that it isn't necessarily replacing Pulse Audio, but rather it's working by utilizing features and functionality of both Pulse Audio and Jack, so you can essentially get the best of both worlds with PipeWire. I know Fedora and OpenSUSE, I think, have that by default now, like at least Tumbleweed does. I know Fedora does, latest Fedora does. So this is great news. So I went to 2204 as both PipeWire and Pulse Audio running. That's because Pulse Audio is still being used for the audio, but PipeWire is being used for the video. So PipeWire is needed for screencasting and screen sharing on Wayland. This is great news because this means most, if not all, of the major distros of Linux will soon be PipeWire by default, and that will further increase the quality of PipeWire, which is good for everybody.
Yeah.
So I was personally hoping that 2204 would have it, but they decided to wait. So, what are your thoughts on PipeWire?
I've been
I know
using it for
Pop
almost.
has it now, but I can't tell the difference. I don't know.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
I've been using
mean,
it
it's
for
a-
over a year now, and I find that things stay rock solid.
Okay.
You set up your stuff in your Pulse Audio control thing for all your devices and your volume settings for your apps. They stay put. They don't, you reboot your computer and everything's all out of whack again. You got to go into them areas and set the volumes and stuff like that. It does a really good job of keeping consistent volumes.
So I've been using PipeWire for a while now, and honestly, for the most part, it's been great. Games in Proton, for instance, Doom Eternal would sometimes have like this clicking or static sound, and it was really weird. I could never fully get it to go away, but with PipeWire, it just straight up gone. The one issue I did have with it is my laptop. With PipeWire, for some odd reason, it just straight up would not work, but it will with Pulse Audio, and I'm not sure what's going on there. I might try switching back from Pulse to PipeWire again, just to see if something from that switch from Pipe to Pulse, fixed it or what. But other than that one issue, it's been great.
Yeah, I was having some issue with PipeWire when I tried it last year. There was something changed in an update, and then it would lose. Like if I got rid of the I use Bluetooth devices a lot. So when I dropped the Bluetooth device, I would have to like refresh the YouTube page to make it come back, the audio. So whatever plumbing they've done, I guess, has fixed all that. And the thing I like about PipeWire is it's more consistent on how it handles the Bluetooth devices as compared to Pulse Audio. So I don't have to pair or I should say connect and disconnect devices to get them to like wake up correctly. Now it just does everything nice as you would expect. So that would be. Go ahead.
I will say with PipeWire, it's a little bit finicky if another app tries to use ALSA. I had a visual novel game I was playing, and it would play audio through ALSA. And after the game closed, something happened, and and PipeWire would only let itself go through ALSA. Nothing else could play through it. So if you're using any distro that uses ALSA, or not uses ALSA, uses PipeWire, there's a file in your home directory you should check to see if it's there. It's called .asoundrc. I forget what it is, what the contents are that it needs to be, but basically you need to configure it so that any sound that is supposed to be going to ALSA is instead sent to Pulse Audio. And if you're not using Pulse Audio, you're using PipeWire instead, PipeWire will pick it up and everything will be hunky-dory. Another thing I've run into before is some apps and games will actually check to see if the Pulse Audio binary is on your system. And if not, they may use something else. And if that other thing isn't present or doesn't play well with using PipeWire, then you might have issues. So it may help if you make a file named Pulse Audio in your path, your executable path, and make it executable. But you don't need anything in it, just to trick those apps and games into thinking that you have Pulse Audio installed when you actually don't.
So I don't
So,
have. Go ahead.
I'm using Arch, and I've got PipeWire in here because when I spun up the ISO using Esnix's stuff, I decided to use PipeWire instead of Pulse. But I'm having a lot of trouble with when I start up and I turn on my Bluetooth, it just doesn't want to turn on. I have to manually go in to my settings and toggle on Bluetooth. It tries to toggle, but it keeps turning off. So if I manually do it, it's fine. But I'm having those issues. They've been there for a little while now. Don't know what the issue is there.
So that's essentially the issue why I went to PipeWire, because I was having that issue with Pulse. So I don't like.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my answer.
I'll only have that issue. I only have that issue when I'm listening to Bluetooth, and then if I don't play anything for a while and then my Bluetooth will shut off, and I go to turn it back on, sometimes it doesn't pick it up right away.
I think
That's the only time I have an issue.
Eris, I think you said it there correctly. PipeWire seems to depend on which distro it's on.
Yeah, on Arch it's a little different.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because doesn't
Interesting.
some distros have? I guess if you install it, you don't have everything. I don't know if that was something about what I heard about that. That some distros have complete PipeWire, and others you're just installing bits and pieces of it.
So I wrote a little article for PipeWire and OpenSUSE. In fact, I updated the article to reflect the changes. But there was a additional Bluetooth module that you have to add separately for PipeWire. At least I had to. I don't know if that's universal, but I did put in there just one module. But there were no. I didn't have to do anything to trick it to use Pulse Audio like that. Everything seems to be handling without any issues. I've not had any. Something still look for Pulse Audio, but it's routing right to PipeWire. So the only issue I do seem to have, it's a real minor issue, not like anything major, but my desktop notification sounds, they make a little pop sound when they shut off. Like it plays a sound, a little pop when it shuts, when that closes up that channel. Don't know what that is, but that's quite literally the only issue that I have.
Yeah, I'm only using the Pulse Audio part of PipeWire on my desktop here, and for that part it works perfectly fine. I only have one Bluetooth computer, and it's a newer laptop, and I haven't tried to PipeWire that yet. So
okay,
I can get the Bluetooth to work just fine with a bunch of manual click here, click here, click here, and the headphones work, that kind of thing, but it's not automatic.
I could probably make a script to make it work automatically.
That's what smart people do.
That's another thing I noticed too. When I use the Bluetooth on that laptop, the Wi-Fi gets kind of wonky.
Really?
It's in a
Yeah,
few.
it drops in and out and sputters and spits and freezes and
Well, I'm using different Bluetooths. Well, my earbuds just died after 10 hours. And I'm using a keyboard. It's a wireless keyboard with the functionality of Bluetooth and wireless. So it's on Bluetooth right now, but I haven't, that's on Pulse Audio, not on PipeWire though.
Interesting. Well, I think it isn't. We probably wouldn't use. Like, I don't think it'd matter for the pulse audio with the keyboard. That's that's a human interface device thing. Anyway, so I think it's interesting. PipeWire becoming more and more of a thing. And so I guess we'll see. We'll just see how all that shakes out over time. All right. So yeah, whatever to make your computing experience the best it can possibly be. That's really what I think. I don't care what you use, even if it's an abacus. No. As long as it's an open source abacus. All right. So as far as for last call, Steve, tomorrow, do you have a coffee clutch coming up?
I will tomorrow. Just let everybody know I will be taking next week off, going out of town with the family. But tomorrow I'm going to talk about a couple ideas I have for my channel on that, and one of them is going to be Easy Linux.
Oh,
Very cool.
Is there such a thing? Such an animal?
an actual easy Linux.
it's supposed to hurt.
It hurts so badly that you just have to bump your head against the table several times.
I mean, I got a voodoo doll of a laptop and I stick pins in it when I get angry.
Whatever it takes. Well, excellent. I look forward to that. I'll see. So your schedule to go on at what? At 9 o'clock? 8 o'clock in the morning Central, 9 o'clock for Eastern for like the rest of the world. And so, but reality is like 15 past. That's probably one.
Yeah,
So between 5 and 15 past, which is cool. You know, it's nice because I can start like poking fun at you right away. So like if you start on time, then I'd lose all my reason to poke at you. So Destination Linux is streaming live tomorrow afternoon. So be sure to check that out at 1 p.m. Eastern. For Linux Out Loud, we had a discussion. Would you pay for the Linux distribution you use? So something to think about. So Linux Out Loud coming out this Wednesday will be a discussion about that. Anything more on me, you can go to cubiclenate.com. I do stuff most of the time. Not right now. I'm a little bit on I've had to press pause for numerous reasons, but it'll come back. So Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network. So check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation in both the Zoom meeting and the YouTube stream, as well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers and be sure to remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yas.
Bye, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks.
So Steve, what is on the menu for next week?
I can get back over there. And then you for next week.
That's a good ass
Being a
question.
horrible host, there's a lot.
There's a lot of choice.
A few moments later.
Well, did you find it? If not, I can just go ahead and say it.
Ah, my bad. I went too far down. Application appetizer.
For Linux Out Loud, we had a discussion, a good discussion, and it was about like, hold on, I just lost my train of thought. I'm a moron. There you go.